In sports, the scoreboard doesn't tell the full story, but Netflix does. Stories about dads who happen to be world-class quarterbacks and a battle for the heart, soul, and direction of the multi-billion-dollar business of F1. Whether you're a diehard fan or you're brand new, Netflix has the stories for every type of fan. You can watch these incredible sports stories like Quarterback, F1 Drive to Survive, Untold, and many more now on Netflix.
Welcome to the Scarlet Supporters Pembrokeshire podcast. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Westerer is Besterer, and what a week to be in the west of Wales with quite possibly the best Scarlets performance in a very, very long time. Here with me, as always, to rejoice and mock the Ospreys is Big M. How's it going, Matt? How's things?
I'm good, mate. I'm really, really good. You know, I had a brilliant night on Friday, and you can't ask for much more. How are you doing yourself?
Yeah, it's do you know what? Just being able to do a podcast and start with such a kind of a positive. It's been such a rough season, and even with the, you know, we're 7 from the last 8, you know, and it's still, well, some of them were some of them were European stuff. So were they putting best sides out against us? Blah blah blah. You know, was it a real test? The Bulls game was a real test. It was a proper test. They came fully loaded. There were maybe 1 or 2 absences, but on the whole, they were pretty much fully loaded. And you know, it was a brilliant game, and the boys just fronted up. It's so nice to be able to start and go, it was a really good game. Do you know what I mean?
I can't really put it into words, just because, you know, I always believe, like I say every week, you know, Scar's going to win. They're going to smash them, bonus point, everything. Mm. But watching that game, and I was just thinking, okay, we're putting points on them in the first half. It's like, yeah, okay, we know the Bulls. They concede a lot of points. They also score a lot of points. It's like, okay, just waiting for that bite back to come. And when it did, we fronted up massively. We put in almost 200 tackles. Mm. It was absolutely brilliant, you know, just from the defensive point of view. I know we conceded the 4 tries, but still, I mean, the work rate of everyone was outstanding.
And the bit for me was we were pinned on our own line. We'd given a penalty away, and we were pinned on our own line, but we were still tackling. We still took them through 6, 7, 8 phases. Do you know what I mean? And then advantage over, and then we turned it over. And it was, you just get to that bit where you could see everybody was fighting for it, you know. And at the start of the season, that wasn't there. That wasn't there at the start of the season. So I think, you know, we're an attacking team. Scarlets are an attacking team. We base what we do on let's score more tries. But I think the defence on Friday was about the best I've seen it. Like you say, 4 tries, but 4 tries against a side that regularly runs in 4, 5, 6 tries. And, well, runs in. They trundle them in from the front of the line is what they do. But just to front up and not be steamrolled by it was, yeah, I thought it was fantastic. I really did. It was brilliant. But
there were just so many different things about that game. Like we spoke last week about how you can keep rugby simple. You know, if you got the ball, they can't score. And it seems we did that for the first half hour. We built ourselves a lead. And then when we didn't have the ball, we were just a brick wall. I mean, the South Africans are always going to be big runners. They're going to make 1 or 2 meters per carry, you know, on vast majority of their carries. But the fact that we were still getting up, fanning around, spreading out, it is just that work rate and that want to be in position, that want to tackle, that want to work. And it's just brilliant to watch.
Well, if you look, you see the way people are getting up off the floor and getting back into position, and that's exactly what you're saying about, you know, that desire to, if I'm on the floor, I'm out the game. I need to get up. I need to get back in position. And that was definitely missing at the start of the season. It was so to see that come in now. It feels like we're building something. It don't feel like we're quite there, but it feels like we're building something quite good for the future.
Yeah, it really does. It seems as though a lot of things are sort of finally bedding in and, being accepted that this is the way we're going to play. It's like we talk about our defense. We had a different defense coach last season. We've had Gareth Williams in this season. And it's taken a little while for the systems to bed in, a little bit longer than I would have liked. But we're getting a lot of joy from it now. I mean, like you said, the work rate off the floor. I mean, almost everyone going in to try and jackal or trying to counter as that first man in. And we're not making the silly mistakes of just piling boys into the ruck in the hope. We're picking and choosing our moments, and it's really, really smart defensively.
Well, there were a load of players that were impressive. And this is when we started doing this at the start of the year. It was somebody, you might have one player who had a decent game, or they didn't have a poor game, sort of thing. And now we're into 5 or 6 people have really good games. Everybody has a pretty good game. I don't think anybody had a poor game on Friday. When you look at that and you go, right, how was there anybody there that made any mistakes? Anybody that let stuff through? No, actually, everybody had a pretty solid game, and I think that's the difference. Is that as a team, we're playing together now. We're playing as a team instead of in parts.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, there's always going to be the 1 or 2 handling errors that pop up, but that's absolutely nothing. You expect that in a game. You're not going to be perfect 100% of the time, and you can go through that full 15 and you can pick out every single player and you can say, well, they done this, they done that, they done that. That's the minimum performance level seems to have raised a fair bit from the beginning of the season.
And I think when you're in a group of players that has that kind of consistent improvement, you're naturally improving anyway. You look at someone like Dan Davis now, who has pretty much come from nowhere. He's been out injured for so long and just not been involved in stuff, and questions had been asked of him. What's the point in keeping somebody who's constantly injured and blah 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 blah. The guy is on fire. He's absolutely awesome. Defense, attack, everywhere. I mean, he's just awesome.
Yeah, just watching him. Like, obviously, I've liked Dan Davis. When he first started playing, I liked his jackling ability, and we spoke before that he's bulked up a lot, and he's lost that a little bit from his game. He's still doing it, but not as much as he did when he began. But watching him now with ball in hand is when you're looking at rugby as a coach and you're just looking at what they're doing, and you're just thinking that's perfect. The drive from his legs, the pumping after contact, and then when he's taking the ball close to the defensive line, you talk about your ABC, you talk about your agility before contact, making that step, and he's doing it almost every single time. It's how he scored the try. I mean, he took the ball, he ran to the player, he stepped, and that's how we got through it. And then the spinning out the contact, it's just lovely to watch.
And it was weird because for his try, it didn't look like he was close enough to score, and everyone was going, "Oh, what's the ref stop for? Was it TMO? What for? What's happened?" And then, he scored.
It was like Michael Jordan in Space Jam. The arm just came out from nowhere and just boom.
Yeah, and I think again that desire has been what's been missing. That desire to, I'm going to go for the line. I'm going to take that responsibility and I'm going to score, sort of a thing. And just everything feels positive at the minute. So I tell you what we'll do. Let's look at the negatives to start with, and then we'll go back and then we'll talk about how awesome our players were. So which bits for you weren't quite functioning on Friday?
The scrum wasn't as solid as I liked, as I would have liked it to be, I should say. Uh, it was really annoying watching it because you could see it dead every single time. Like, I don't know how much people really know, but if you see an elbow, straight, then that's fine. It's when when it goes under, you're pulling down, or when it goes over, you're pushing down. And every single time their tight dead was really, really pulling on Matthias. And he went down a few times, and we got pinged a little bit for it. And it just little things like that don't get picked up. I mean, overall, this scrum is going to be stronger just because they've got the sheer size and the way they set it up. But I don't like that the little things are not getting pinged, and this is simple ones. When you play prop and you're told, okay, this is how you do this, you're not allowed to do that. It's those things that you see every single game and they never get picked up, even when it's a scrum, 5 meters from the line out and the bloody assistant ref is there, and you just seeing, one of the props just literally yank the other player down. It's like, well, why are you not calling nothing?
Yeah, I mean, I thought on the whole, I think Kemsley Matthias has a young prop, because in the world of props, he's still a young prop.
He's brilliant. I mean,
yeah.
at the start of the season, Stephen Thomas, I was really bigging up Stephen Thomas. I thought he was playing really well. And, since Kemsley has come back from his few injury niggles, wow. A few boys said that, Matthias is going to be our number one pretty soon. And I was like, well, I haven't really seen him play, so I can't really judge that. But Jesus Christ, that boy, he's got a full all-round game.
And the good thing is that he's from the same club as Rob Evans. He's a Harford West boy, and for them to produce two props of a similar kind of thing. We both got an all-round game, both can scrummage, solid, decent players. Something's going right there. They must be gutted because they could do with a couple of decent props. But it's, do you know what I mean? For one club to produce two players who are at that kind of level is a big thing for them. And I reckon, when you look at the front row, our front row at the minute is quite inexperienced. When you take Ken Owens out and Wyn Jones, because they're both with Wales at the minute or injured. Yeah, Samson Lee is our other experienced prop and injured for another couple of weeks. The people that we've got to come in, they're not big names. They're not really well known. They're just hard grafters. They're the boys that are actually putting in the hard work and the hard graft and doing a pretty solid job. And they're going to be there for a fair few years now.
Yeah, it's like we've probably played with our second, third string front row for 80% of the season. I mean, Samson is our number one tight dead. I know we had big hopes for Will Griff-John, but he just seems to have disappeared now. And Ken Owens has been back recently for us, and he's been awesome. And Wyn Jones, he's had a couple of games off the bench, and I think one start. But for the vast majority of the season, we've been playing with I don't want to say second tier, but our second string front row, and then our third string on the bench. And the fact that we are still being competitive and winning a lot of scrums in a lot of cases, it does make you look and think, something is actually going right. Whether it is coming from the clubs that they're already at a decent level, or through the academy, or coming in with Ben Franks as our scrum coach. There is something going well in regards to scrummaging at our club.
And we've spoken about it being, particularly at the start of the season, it was an area of concern for us, and I think this is the hard bit with fans, particularly in the front row, is you've got to play those games. You've got to get some game time. You've got to be on the pitch, and every scrum is a learning experience for young. You look like Harry O'Connor. every time he goes into a scrum, he's learning something. Do you know what I mean? He's not teaching anybody anything. He's learning, and that can only be good for us. It takes time to build, and it will build, but I think that can only be a good thing for us going forward.
Yeah. Talking about Harry O'Connor, he didn't spend a lot of time on the field on Friday, and when he came off, I think he might have been holding his hand again. So I'm just hopeful that he hasn't re-damaged those fingers or whatever it was that kept him out for a few weeks.
Yeah, because he had a broken hand, didn't he? And then he came back. They said on the telly it was a damaged shoulder, but I think that was just them. Like he was kind of holding it into his chest, didn't he?
Yeah, like his hand was like sort of where his belly button was, and it just didn't move for the entire time he was walking off. So obviously this is just speculation from what we physically saw on a day, but I'm just hoping that it's not another knockback for the boy.
See, here's something that we could probably ask for as a from the Scarlets. When you look at particularly the Irish sides do this very well. They will give either a Monday night or a Tuesday morning update on injuries. Yeah, and they'll go through. These are all the players that are injured or
unavailable.
Yeah, and after that game on Friday, I said that there's a lot of players sitting in the physio this week going, I'm just gonna have I just need a little bit of TLC this week, sort of thing. But yeah, it would be handy to have an honest assessment of this is where we are with, because it saves the speculation, doesn't it? It saves the are they out? Are they injured? Are they like Combier? We didn't know what was going on with Combier, and then
we were just told that he was ill, and he was ill for 1 week, then 2 weeks, then 3 weeks, then 4 weeks. Like thinking, what hell illness is this?
Yeah, so it would be. So we were on my other podcast last night. We were talking to Simon Mudrack, and he was very, open and honest about where we are as a region and where all regions are in Wales, etc. And he was talking about how interacting with fans is a good thing. We need to shake off the club needs to shake off that idea that you can't talk to anyone, you can't interact with anyone, you can't do this, you can't do that. And to be fair, players are starting to embrace that, starting to kind of understand it. But if the club could do that as well, with things like here's a weekly injury update, or do you know what I mean? It just
it's like I know they do it down Cardiff, but they've got the 4G pitch, so they can do it. But maybe last game of the season, maybe allow the fans onto the pitch just to be with all the players at the end. Something like that would be, especially if you've got kids with you, that'd be something, an awesome experience.
Yeah. Well, our last game at home, I think, is the Edinburgh game, isn't it? Well, apart from European fixtures, I suppose, because our last,
Sharks.
It's the Sharks, is it?
Yeah, Edinburgh are next. Then we got Munster away, and then if we beat Breve, we'll have another home quarter-final. So we'll have the Sharks on, I think, the last weekend, proper weekend of March. Breve then on the Friday night, the 31st, and then we'll have another home game for the quarter-final. And should we manage to win that, we'll get another home semi-final. So the league home games ends, I think, the 25th of March.
Yeah, which just seems a ridiculously early time to end, for that to be our last home game.
Yeah, but I it is early, and I don't like it. But I don't think we got any games in May as it stands.
No.
So,
and the season always used to end in May. It always used to be.
It was always sort of the middle of the second weekend of May. It'd be the end, and then it'd either be the last weekend of May or the first weekend of June would be, the grand final of all the playoffs and everything.
Yeah, but anyway, yes, it would be nice to do that. So let's talk about who had a really good game on Friday then, because that's going to take a while.
Yeah.
Who impressed you?
Who impressed me? David Hughes impressed me a lot. And, majority of people would probably say Dan Davis should have been the first name on by year. But, he's obvious. We all know he was brilliant. But I've got to give a shout out to David Hughes. He hasn't even been involved in the squad for the last month since Ken Owens has come back. For some reason, we were playing Sean Evans on the bench, which, in my hierarchy of how our hookers go, I wouldn't have put him there personally. No disrespect to the player. I just think David Hughes is a really, really good hooker.
Mm-hmm.
And he did his job massively well. He carried hard. He tackled his heart out. He did everything that was asked of him and more.
Yeah, and you could see he won a couple of turnovers, and you could see the by the way he reacted. The guy was pumped, and he was pumped for the whole match. He was, I think he's looking at it and going, Ken Owens is away. It's probably going to be, well, Gatland has said that after the World Cup there'll be a new captain, and Ken Owens probably won't be featuring in next year's Six Nations. So, he's in that bit of, well, Ken's coming to the end of his career. Scarlets are going to need somebody to replace. Rumours about Ryan Elias leaving, going elsewhere. We need who's going to replace Ken. Ken will probably have 2 or 3 seasons with us, a bit like Foxy is. Where it tails off. You've done your international stuff, you've done your British Lions, and now you're doing your club stuff. But you're also getting a bit older, so you pick up, like Foxy's got that little injury that keeps you out for 2 weeks here and 2 weeks there, and we need somebody to come through and replace. So, the competition for hooker at Scarlets below Ken Owens at the minute is quite intense, and I think everyone is benefiting from it. Everyone's taking their game up a notch, and who is top of the tree at the minute.
Yeah, and the hookers, the Stocks hooker doesn't just stop with Sean Evans, David Hughes, Taylor Davis. We've got 2 boys with the Wales under-20s at hooker as well. So that production line is going well.
And so we'll talk about Wales 20s and all of that sort of stuff later. But it's a good kind of indication of where we are as a club. Maybe not, let's be realistic. We're still 2 off the bottom, but it feels like we're playing the rugby of a top table side, if that makes sense.
I mean, if you want to go, the way I like to look at it, I like to look at the stats. I like to, maybe take 5 minutes off a match here and there where we were winning, with 5 minutes to go. I like doing that. And, none of I think only our line out is, bottom half. And when you're talking about stats, when you look at it, all of them individually, our attack, I think, is one of the best in the league when you talk clean breaks, defenders beaten, etc. And, everything is pretty solid. Barring our line out, we should be in just looking without looking at the league table, just looking at the stats, and you're looking at position for each different thing and thinking, yeah, we are definitely a top half team. We had, potentially we could be looking for a home knockout, but obviously, wins and losses unfortunately count.
Yeah, but it's you can feel the positive. The player I was impressed with on Friday, not necessarily because of what he did around the pitch, which was good, but Shingler as captain. I thought he captained that side really, really well, because we were up against it. That second half, we were up against it, and somebody in the middle there is going, right, we keep going. We're still in the lead. We're still those last 5-10 minutes before we scored that try, where we're taking a pounding, and they should have kicked. They had 2 opportunities to kick and put themselves in the lead, and we defended on our line. That's very much about Shingler going, this doesn't happen. We defend and we defend and we defend again. So I was quite impressed with him, aside from the stuff that he did around the pitch. I was quite impressed with the way he led the side. on that.
Yeah, he was really good. I mean, I'm not going to be. I got to be honest. I was really disappointed when Steph Evans didn't get the captaincy. But
I
you know,
thought he'd had a
Shingler,
haircut. I thought Steph Evans had a haircut, and then he turned up on Friday with a bloody mullet. Anyway, carry on.
you got to leave it. You got to leave his hair alone, man. Or he'll start
Oh.
talking about earwares, and we don't want to go down that road. No, Shingler was incredibly influential in our game. I was really surprised when he got subbed off. No, I really didn't expect it. So, it'd be interesting to know who our captain was for that last part of the match.
Mm.
But, he is an older player. He is, he's becoming that wise old man that doesn't, no, I don't want to say he doesn't do as much because he still does, but it's sort of, you don't see him do as much, and what you do see him is very important.
Yeah, yeah, and but you could see he does a lot more work around the tight now. He's a lot more involved in rucks and was particularly releasing the ball out of there. Do you know what I mean? Instead of taking the ball into contact and maybe trying to make another 2 or 3 meters, he's very much that let's rip it and get shot quite quick sort of a play. And you could see that the ball was getting released a lot quicker from rucks and mauls than it usually does.
I can agree entirely with that. I mean, Shingler has always been that player that very much, well, I'd say in the shape of, but Sam Lowsy and Fafita are more in the shape of Shingler, where they go through the tackle, they've got that bit of height, they move around and they look for the offload. And I think with having the likes of Lowsy and Fafita, and then the extra carrying from the likes of Dan Davis, I think it makes it easier for him. He doesn't have to focus too much on that, so we can do the nitty gritty. He can stay in and around the ruck. He can do what he has to, secure the ball, marshalling it basically. And he's doing it really well.
Yeah, absolutely. So the one area we were concerned on last week was centres, and we had Joe Nicholas and Joe Roberts. No sign. I didn't see Eddie James. Did Eddie James get on?
I don't think he did, but I did see him warming up. And okay, he's not the thickest set of boy, but he's a lanky bugger. He's pretty big. So and he's 20 years old. So he's still got a couple of years to get that man strength, that man muscle in him. So he's going to be a really big unit and difficult to handle once he gets on that park.
Yeah. Well, I've seen him a couple of times for Llanelli. He's been playing a lot for Llanelli this year, and he had one game was on S4C against Ebel Vale, I think it was. Took the ball just outside his own 22.
All the way.
Just ran and just he got taken down 5 yards out by about 3 players. But the guy, he's got pace, he's got size, he's got hands. I can't wait to see him introduced. I thought Johan Nicholas actually had quite a decent game. Because he's not the biggest player, but he did half decent.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When I saw Johan being named a 12, I was worried. Not from the attacking point of view. He's a brilliant attacker, but I've never seen him play at 12. And coming against a big South African side, I was thinking, oh, this could be a long day. But in all fairness and credit, his tackling, his defense was brilliant, outstanding. He didn't get as much opportunity to go forward as he would have personally liked, but he was solid, and he is that utility player that we've now got. 11 through to 50, and he'll play anywhere. A little bit like Paul Asquith was for a few years, and it's probably not nice being that player because you never really nail down that one spot. But it's good to have someone like that in and around just for emergencies, like it was against the Bulls.
But then, somebody like that is, I class them as a good, solid club player because that they're going to be around for a long time. He's going to start racking up appearances quite quickly. Do you know what I mean? Because He doesn't need to wait for is so and so injured. Is Scott Williams injured for me to get my opportunity? He's got 5 different positions he can play, and anyone's injured in those positions, he can step in. So I think he's going to be one of those players that hits 50, 100, 150 appearances really, really quickly, and we'll be sitting there going, actually, yeah, he's a good, solid. I don't think he's ever going to be. I don't think he'll ever be like in the Wales frame, a bit like Steph Evans. Steph Evans is out of the Wales frame, but is still top meters, top try scorer, very nearly top all-time try scorer in the URC. So, sometimes your face just doesn't fit, or your size, your shape doesn't fit in the national game. But I think Ioan Nicholas is going to be with us for a very, very long time as a rock solid player, and I think that's a good thing. I really do. I see someone like Eddie James and Joe Roberts being involved in Wales in the coming years. I think they're the sorts of players that will go up to the national side, and Ioan Nicholas will be a Scarlet through and through. But I might be wrong. Who knows?
Who knows what the future holds is what we'll
Yeah.
say at the end of that.
Yeah. So let's have a look at the future then, and let's have a look at the Wales 20s for Friday. Friday they play in Ireland, isn't it? So
yes,
we've got 11 players in the squad, haven't we?
11 players from the Scarlets.
I mean, that is a phenomenal. Last season, I think we had 3, didn't we? And we had Harry Williams at scrum half. Archie went in for 1 game, and then there was someone else. So there wasn't a massive amount of players going in last year, and so 11 is a massive improvement.
Yeah, and a lot of them being forwards is another step in a good direction for us, because we produce brilliant backs. We know this, but there's 5 front rowers in this under-20 squad from us, so it's absolutely brilliant.
So who have we got in the squad then? Who are the front row players in the squad?
Okay, I'm just trying to pull it up. We've got Josh Morse, which I believe is a loose head. We've then got Tom Pritchard and Will Couch with tight heads. And we've got 2 young hookers in Lewis Morgan, who I think he may have made an appearance for the Scarlets already, and Isaac Young. They're our front rowers.
I think Lewis Morgan is trained with, he's a Tenby boy. So I think he's trained with the seniors a fair bit, and there was talk of him coming on.
I can remember seeing his name on a team sheet before in the replacements. I can't remember if he got on the pitch, but I can remember him being named.
Yeah. Well, he's a good, strong, aggressive hooker. But I think it just shows what an academy system can do, what the academy system can produce. Because I know we've had a lot of front rowers in academy, and the thing with academy is it takes a while to produce, an outcome. It's a bit like planting asparagus. Asparagus takes 2 years. It takes 2 years to grow, and harvest. So, the guys that are there, it takes time. But the point of being in the academy is that you get that time, you get that support to do the bulking, to do your fitness work, to do your skill work, to all of that kind of a stuff, and not necessarily, you're not having to hold down a job, you're not having to do other things. You're just right. You're going to be a pro player, so let's work on you being a pro player, sort of thing.
Yeah. What something I'd like to see is, I know you spoke with Simon Mudderak last night on another podcast, and I know you said that he's talked about expanding the academy. But what I would like to see is that basically, I don't want to call it a development team, but I want to turn Llanelli RFC into a breeding ground for the Scarlets. I would like to see, probably 15, maybe 18 boys who are involved in our academy setup in their match day 23 every week, and then just have that 5 or 6 more experienced leaders around the park.
Well, to be honest, they pretty much are. The Llanelli side, most of the Llanelli sides that get put out have got academy players in or Scarlets players who are not involved in the 23. Carmarthen Quins have usually got 4 or 5. I'm not sure where Llandovery are in the setup at the minute, because they used to be one of the key teams that players would go out to. And I've not seen many academy boys turn out for Llandovery, I'll be honest. But definitely Llanelli is pretty much packed with Scarlets players. People like Luca Giannini, he's a big prospect for the future, and he's only just coming up into senior academy. Caleb Salmon, who's with Wales U20s, so he's been playing a lot for Carmarthen Quins. So the players are out there doing it, and I think it's finding the right club for them to develop in. But I've definitely seen it more this season than last season.
Yeah, I can't argue that there has been a lot more involvement, but there's no, like, how Cardiff are the RFC, they've basically been told that they are the development and that's what they're doing. I don't want it to be as strict, you were only here to develop. I still want Llanelli RFC to be successful, because as much as we are the Scarlets, we are Llanelli RFC as well. And we talk like, say, Llanelli and Carmarthen Quins have had the most of the academy boys. Those 2 teams are at the bottom of the table, and Llandovery are fighting for first in the Premiership. So obviously there is a balance in that to consider. But yeah, there has been a lot more players getting game time lower down, which especially when you're talking youngsters, and especially young front rowers, you need to play to get experienced.
Yeah. And I think the key bit about playing is you just maintain your fitness as well. It's all well and good going out on a Saturday, you're right, I'm not involved in the 23 or whatever, and I'll do a half-hour fitness session or whatever, but actually playing in the game when, that constant battle for 80 minutes, it sharpens you. It gives you a type of fitness that you don't get just doing, laps on the pitch or whatever. So
yeah, there's a massive difference between being fit and being match fit.
And I think that's, the way our academy works now, I think it's really starting to show its worth. I would like to see more of it being used. So you can see how our academy is developing just by the amount of players that are now involved in that Wales squad. And like you say, the forwards, people like Caleb, has been, that wasn't our strength in the past. So the fact that it now is a good thing. And we've got 2 scrum halves in there as well. Harry and Archie. When we talk about who's leaving at the end of the season at some point, one of our 3 Welsh international scrum halves is probably going to go. You can't hold 3 international scrum halves in your squad, and we've got depth in that position to come through, definitely. So when we do, those are difficult conversations at the end of the year, but they're going to be having them now. Yeah.
Yeah, apparently all the contracts are going to be sorted within the next month, but we were told that last month too, so
yeah,
I'm not going to hold up much hope for that.
Well, again, Mudrak last night is quite confident that we'll go into we're going to get the contract situation sorted quite quickly. I think he's quite frustrated about how long it's taken. Just reading between the lines of what he was saying about how much time this has taken. December 2021 was when they started conversations on this. So that's over 12 months to negotiate a contract. I know it's 6 years and what have you, but it's a lot of negotiation time that you could be spending playing rugby, investing in the rugby. But
I mean, I would hope that they've been speaking to the boys all season and been like really honest. I mean, like, look, if the deal is this much, then you're definitely going to be staying. Or as look, the chances are we're not going to be able to keep you unless they give us enough money. So have a look, keep your options open. I would hope that they have spoken to the boys in that sort of manner.
Yeah, and what I like is the fact that we haven't seen lots of rumours coming out of the Scarlets. Cardiff is like a sieve for rumours, and Newport is worse. And we've been able to kind of not keep a lid on it, but you'd like to think that the players are having conversations amongst themselves or having conversations with management and are quite comfortable about what's going to happen. So, quite often the people behind the scenes just come in for flack left, right and centre with this sort of stuff. But the way they're managing it at the minute, full credit to them. We know there are difficult conversations coming and we know people are going to leave the club. That happens at the end of every season. So the way it's being looked after, if we put it that way, has been quite good. But we won't talk about who we expect to leave because
there's some big names on that list, I know.
Yeah, and it's going to be hard. Maybe we'll do that in the middle of the Six Nations. We'll save that for the middle of the Six Nations. But yeah, so who else have we got involved in the Wales 20s, mate? So we've got forwards, we've done scrum halves. Who else have we got?
Yeah, let me get my screen back up. Yeah, we talked to front rowers. We said Caleb Salmon and Luca Giannini, both others forwards, and then Archie Hughes. I was about to say Archie Williams. Then I was thinking, who's that? Archie Hughes, Harry Williams, our scrum halves, and then we've got Jack Davis and Kian Abraham. Now, that's a name I'm not familiar with.
No, I've heard Jack Davis before.
I've heard all those names except for Kian Abraham.
So maybe he's a new player that's come. I know with the process that academy is, you're always looking, and when somebody takes your eye, you kind of go, right, okay, let's get them in. So it might be somebody that's come in recently.
It could be an exile that's come over as well, couldn't it?
Yeah, but full credit to the club for looking to bring people in and not being frightened to bring people into the academy. I think
the only thing I'm going to say is from this Wales under-20 squad is there's a second row coming out of RGC, so they haven't got a professional link up, so get a conversation, and we don't produce many second rows. Yeah. So maybe we can have a conversation.
Well, there is there's a second row in there as well. Oh, what's his name? Green from Harlequins.
Yeah, Johnny Green.
Yeah. So I'm sure he's the guy that is quite likely to come west as well. He's had conversations to come this way.
Oh, happy days.
I think it's him. I know there was somebody that was in an English club, Wales 20s, second row, absolutely humongous, that is looking to come west. So, fingers crossed. That might be.
Yeah. How far west are we talking? All the way?
We're talking red west. We're talking Westerer is bester, mate. So what? Ireland under-20s are pretty phenomenal. Let's be honest. Their under-20 system is superb.
I'll be honest. Have you ever watched the Leinster School Senior Cup? Like I'm sure it's been on video play and stuff. These are under-18 school boys. No, not Leinster Academy. Some of these boys do go into it, but the standard they play in, and that's just 1/4 of Ireland. The entire age grade setup from the bottom all the way through to the 4 provinces is outstanding. There's the sheer amount of players that get the quality of coaching and then get the game time as well to keep them going. Is a brilliant model to look at, and it should be something that we look at, adopting ourselves. Obviously, in our own way, we don't want to just copy and paste. There's nothing good will come from that, because you got to look at your own advancement.
So that's Ireland 20s, Wales 20s is going to be a tight game. Who else have we got playing this weekend? So we the girls played last weekend, didn't they? The
Yeah,
18 girls.
Our Scarlets under 18s girls. They had a game against Dragons 18s, and it was a hard game. Lost 39-7, but on the positive note, we scored first. We were leading in that game. You got to take the positives where you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not going to read too much into it, because this is just under 18s. This is just their second game. They only get to play a few games this season, so just the fact that they're playing is brilliant. And then on the weekend now, they are playing RGC.
Yeah, and we're not sure whether that's at Ospreys or at Ystrad Mynach, are we? So
yeah, we know it's not up in North Wales again.
Yeah,
but we haven't. We know it is somewhere a bit further east. We just haven't pinpointed exactly where at the minute.
Well, we'll put that on our socials as well when they release the side, because I think it's important. It's important that we, in the same way that we look at the development of the male players, we look at the female players. And so the question was asked last night about what's happening with Scarlet's women's team, the Scarlet Ladies. Yeah, there was a bit of a sidestep with that. I'll be honest, it wasn't we are running the side this year or we aren't running the side this year. It was very much about we're committed to producing a women's team. But I haven't seen anything about Scarlet Ladies this year. Have you?
No, I mean, I did contact the Scarlets earlier in the season asking for information. And it wasn't a blunt, we don't have a women's team. It was like, we don't have any information on a women's team to give you. So I'm not sure. I think this Celtic development competition has, kind of taken priority over that for the time being. But, getting a full Scarlets women's is going to be brilliant. And something I'm liking about the under 18s, even though, it's not local enough, for me to go and attend with my daughters, it's free entry for the 2 games on the day.
Yeah.
And, just to get that sort of exposure, just, if you've got young girls who like rugby or you want to try and see if they'll get interested, knowing that there's, older girls playing that you can take them and watch for free, it's brilliant.
Yeah. And long may that last, because it is important that the girls, once you go and you start watching and you start becoming familiar with the players and all of that kind of stuff, it's a really enjoyable game to watch. And it's a shame there's not more of it on the telly and at the park. So what Simon was talking about last night was double headers. So the women's game playing before the men's game, whether that be on the park or on the training pitch. There would be a double header to get more people to watch the women's game. So,
Yeah, I think that's an idea that can be, used for everything. That could be used for the RFC. That could be used for under 18s as well.
Yeah, it'd be good. Okay, what else we got left to talk about, mate?
We got the boys 18s. They're back in action this week.
Yep. So they're playing Cardiff tomorrow night, or Wednesday night. So they've got a tough run of games over the next week. They've got Cardiff on Wednesday. They've got the rearranged Ospreys fixture on Sunday. And then they've got Dragons away next Wednesday as well. So it's 3 games in 8 days is what they've got. So I think they've been playing quite well up till now. Really do. I'd say the forwards have been massively improved on last season. Back row in particular have been, just everywhere, which has been great.
Oh, we know you love that back row.
I do, mate. And I watch them playing, and sometimes you've got to count how many of the boys are on the pitch. The way they work together, the work rate that they've got. It's, the turnovers, and they're going up against people that have got big reputations, and they're making them look small, particularly, the Cardiff boys. So Harry Beddle, open side for Cardiff, comes with a big reputation. We barely noticed him when we played up in Cardiff, and our boys were absolutely everywhere. So fingers crossed we can keep that going. We can keep that going. So my boy's not playing this week, but hopefully be involved against your Ospreys is the game he wants to play. It's a game everyone wants to play, isn't it? But yeah.
Well, the question is, will you be there this Wednesday?
I can't, mate. This is why. So we've got building work going on.
Excuses.
He's away in Hartbury. So it's like 2 hours for him to come home and 2 hours for him to go back and stuff like that. So yeah, it is a bit more difficult on for this week, but hopefully next week should be able to go watch the Ospreys game, should be able to go watch Dragons game, fingers crossed. But yeah, not making it this week. So
terrible.
Yeah, but yeah, a big set of games coming up for the under 18.
A lot of games.
Yeah, and by the end of that Dragons game, we'll know whether we're looking at the top of the table or not. And I can't see any reason why we won't be, because we put the Dragons away. Dragons were well and truly controlled in that game. We should have beaten Cardiff if we'd released the ball and let our backs run a little bit sooner. We would have won that game because our forwards dominated it. So, Ospreys were pretty much toe-to-toe with Cardiff and have been toe-to-toe with the Dragons. They're on that level. So I think we should quite comfortably put them away. It'll be a forwards battle again, because that's the way the Ospreys are. But what I've noticed with the Ospreys 18s is they're a lot more willing to run the ball from deep now. They will run it from their 22. They will run it from their own half. And that's the only thing that has kind of changed. So as long as our defence is, where it's been for the first couple of games, we'll be fine. We've got no problems with that at all. So, yeah, fingers crossed. There we go. So, just the Wales game to talk about then, is it?
Yeah, just the Wales game. Nothing really important.
Do we want to skip over the stuff in the WRU? I think it's been so many people have said so many things over the last. It's just not really much we can add.
All we can really say is people are being pushed out. Well, they say they've resigned, but they were pushed out. And things seem to be getting investigated. Things might start to look positive in the near future, and that's all we can really say at the minute, isn't it?
Yeah. What I'm not liking is the way on Twitter people are complaining about bullying by bullying people. That kind of, there's a lot of stuff on social media about naming and shaming people, and I've not got a problem with naming and shaming people, but it's the way. I think the problem isn't just the WRU, it's the attitude within Welsh rugby. And a lot of the people who are criticising the attitude and the culture within the WRU are doing exactly the same thing themselves on social media, And so, yeah, for my 2 penneth in it is, it's not the WRU that we need to change. It's not just the WRU that we need to change. I think it's Welsh rugby as a whole, the way we think about the game, the way we play, the way we think about how we relate to each other, and all of that needs to improve. So that's my 2 pennies. Job done in the jar. So let's talk Wales and Ireland, mate. What are you hoping for from the game?
I'm not really hoping for anything from the game. I mean, it's a massive shake-up with Gatland coming back, and we know the style of play the style of game he likes to play. So it's not going to be very, very enjoyable to watch from an attacking point of view. But it should be good, structurally in defence. The only thing I'm really looking forward to is probably seeing, David Jenkins, maybe Rhys Davies and Kieran Williams on the pitch. I think, these boys could be, the future of Wales in their positions. We need new locks. We can't keep relying on Alan Wynne to keep giving performances when he's in his 40s, and we already know that what's his name, Rowlands is buggering off. So we need new blood in the lock. We've pulled a few boys in, so hopefully we get to see them. And I am really looking forward to seeing Kieran Williams at 12. I think it'd be good to put him and Tompkins together. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think having those two in the centre together would be really good to watch. We know how good Tompkins is, especially his jinking, his movement, and his passing is not too shoddy. And the way Kieran Williams is, the way he punches holes, I think it'd be a good combination.
Yeah, I just can't see. I can see Kieran Williams there. I don't know if he's a Gatland type player. I just think he's too small. Gatland's big on physicality. Gatland's not big on skill. He doesn't. Can you do the basics well? Is what he's interested in. So, I'd see kind of Mason Grady going in ahead of Kieran Williams just on size. And he's a big lump of a boy, but I'm the same as you, mate. I don't think it's going to be the most enjoyable game to watch in terms of. I think if anybody's going to be spreading the ball, it's going to be Ireland. That's not a thing that we say too often. I can't see our wings getting the ball unless Ireland kick it to them. And I guess just the way we're going to play the game through the World Cup, and then we might look to evolve it after the World Cup. But I can't see a massive change from Warren Ball Mark II, in all honesty. So.
It's a little bit disappointing because I know the results hadn't gone the way, but we had seen progress on that side of the game under Pivac. And we know we can't be losing as many matches, but at the same time, we don't want to be taking a backward step. We still want to try and push our backs, push our forwards even for the support lines, the dummy runs. We can't just rely on our fast boys to do all that sort of work.
Yeah. So, what's your prediction then? What's your prediction for
I think it's going to be close, but I can't see past Ireland.
Yeah, I'm the same. It's hard to predict a Wales loss, but Ireland number one in the world. We're still pretty much trying to find our best combination at front row and second row. We've got a whole load of players in there that are injured in the squad, and
never
just coming back.
That.
Yeah, you look at our front row. You've got Wyn Jones played half a game. You've got Leon Brown played half a game. We're not all singing or dancing there at the minute, but they're players that weren't there for Pivac. They are players that are coming back after being injured for Pivac. So yeah, it'd be an interesting game in the sense of let's see what's going on. But yeah, I'm predicting a Wales loss as well, same as you. I'm going 15-12. I don't think it'll be a high scorer. I think it'll be a lot of penalties.
I think it'll be a little bit higher than that, but yeah, it's going to be a single score game. Yeah.
So, yeah. And we started so positive. We started on the Bulls game and we were so up for it. We were
we shouldn't be talking about Wales. It's just what it does to you.
Yeah, unless it brings you down.
Unless you've had a nice win the week before, it's hard stuff to talk about.
Yeah. So we'll do Wales again next week, and the last thing to cover off then is the community game from last weekend. Editing this week is going to be a pain in the backside, isn't it? So, let's go through the scores from last week's games. Have you got them there?
Yes, I've got the scores by here. I am prepared, unlike some people.
Yeah, we had a question on Facebook asking us, could we do the same for Carmarthen teams? Could we do like a Carmarthen podcast? Which
that's something I'll talk to you when we finish now.
Yeah, it's stick with us. We'll work on it. is what is my answer to that one. So go on then. Let's start with Narberth.
Let's start with Narberth. Narberth at home, Kirk Glamorgan, and a massive victory for the Otters. 51 points to 28. Can't say the word, but something awesome.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good, positive win, and the attitude of the game as well was excellent. So yeah, fair play to them. It was, you can see there's a buzz in the club at the minute. So
there is. We gotta love Narberth. We gotta push for them. You know, let's. I don't think it's gonna happen this season, but let's get them in the Premiership. Come on.
Yeah, it's got to be a plan. It's got to be a plan. So Division 1 then, and
Division 1 West, couple of games to look at. Crimich, keeping the league run going, 24 points to 17 over Gosainon. Good solid win, keeps them in that hunt for the league championship.
Yeah, and again, a lot of positivity in the club at the minute. A lot of good stuff happening. So yeah, enjoying that one.
Yeah. Then we go into Newcastle Emlyn, who hosted Aberystwyth. Now, we were hoping Aberystwyth were going to be able to do a favour by you, and maybe put their own title credentials, up on the front page. But 40 points to 14 to Newcastle Emlyn, it just didn't go the way we would have liked it.
Yeah. But I didn't realise Gareth Thomas, Welsh prop, he's from Newcastle Emlyn as well.
Yeah,
I didn't realise that. They're a club that produces a lot of big players, but there we go. So,
and then the last game in Division 1 West was a bit of a derby, Whitland and Pembroke.
Yeah, Pembroke's big opportunity to get a win on the board and didn't.
47-15. Now, we've been saying, where's Whitland? And, maybe this can kickstart it.
Yeah.
Probably not, but we can say it.
Yeah, I just think it's against Pembroke. We're a second division side, mate. We're probably... Well, we're definitely in a division too high for the players that we've got and the structure that we've got. So, yeah, I wouldn't read too much into Whitland giving Pembroke a bit of a kick in. Pembroke will come back down.
You me down, don't know.
No, it's
positive.
I think Pembroke will come back down. They'll do, a couple of seasons of development, and then we'll go back up in kind of probably 2-3 seasons time with a bit of a stronger side, a bit more strength in depth, which I think what's needed. So
it'll depend on the restructuring of the the whole season. The whole thing goes at the end of the year.
Yeah, we might end up in Division 4 East or something. The way things go at the minute, innit? So
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. So Division 2, we had a derby game in Division 2 as well, didn't we?
Yeah, we had a derby game. We had Tenby at home to Fishguard, and as far as derbies go, this is a scoreline you like to see. 24-21 to Tenby. That's a tight game all the way through.
Yeah, and fair play to Fishguard. They've had a bit of a torrid time of it lately, but to push and push and push. Yeah, by all accounts, it was a really good game as well. People wanted to play open rugby, so yeah, well done both. Congrats to Tenby. Milford, did they back up their win from the week before?
You know what? This was really disappointing for me to talk about. Going to face Pontevedra, who hadn't won a single game in the league this season. So they've gone September, October, November, December, and majority of January without winning a league game. And what did they do? They beat Milford Haven.
Yeah.
Bloody hell. 13-11. It was tight. Milford probably could have done it if they had a bit more noose about them. But still, you go to a winless team in January, you should be pulling that off.
Yeah, especially coming off a big win the week before. It is disappointing that they couldn't back it up, because that's what you need to build that momentum. You need to build game after game. But yeah, a bit disappointing. But there we go. That's rugby. That's well done, Pontevedra. Yeah.
Oh, that was really hard for you to say.
So let's have a look at Division 3 then, mate. What have we got in Division 3?
Yeah, only a few games in the actual league this week. 3 West A, as we call it. Cardigan, 31-0 over St David's.
Which was a shock. I thought St David's would have competed a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, we all love St David's. I mean, you can't not love them, and it is disappointing, especially, they haven't been winning much, but they had a couple of decent results. I think it was, what was it, 10-8 against Aberaeron. You'd think they'd have been a bit better.
Yeah, but they've been competitive, so that's it. That's the way it goes. So who else have we got?
Next up is a brilliant game, from our favourite 2 Street team, Langham against Pembroke Quins, and Langham had to do it, didn't they? Just to upset you.
I can't understand. Well, Quins haven't played since before Christmas.
Excuses.
Nearly a full month off, and I just can't understand how you can let Langham do that. I just don't. It's a local derby. It's most games in this division are, but there should have been something there. Quinn should have put them away. Should have. Yeah. But there we go. Fair play, Langham. You play the game, you play what's in front of you, and they come out on top. So fair play to them. They've taken it, and that's the way it is, isn't it?
Yeah, 17 points to 14. So it wasn't a massive victory, but a victory all the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Fair play.
And the last league game was Neyland at home to Aberaeron. And spoke last week a little bit about Aberaeron. They're still winning, but they're on a bit of a slump. And Neyland have been playing pretty well. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of shocked when I saw Aberaeron winning 16-14.
But a close game. I think I predicted Aberaeron to win that one, didn't I? Because I was good.
If I predicted it, you probably did.
It's good to see close games, though. Sometimes you need to play those close games to really, find out where your grit is, your determination, and things like that. So, a good game.
And then, last week we spoke about some of the league teams that were in the cup. We had Lampeter at home to Pontyclean. Lampeter won 21 points to 8, so they go on to the next round.
Cool.
And then we had a bit of a derby in Larne and St Clair's.
Oh, yeah.
And unfortunately for Larne, they couldn't do it the second time of asking, and St Clair's ran out 24 points to 13 winners. So, congratulations to St Clair's and Lampeter. They both move on to, I think it's the quarterfinals of the Division 3 Cup now. Yeah. So, I think they play in a couple of weeks' time. So, we'll keep everyone updated on those.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. And on that note, then.
And we got one thing to talk about. We got the schools rugby.
Oh, yeah.
You just want to end this early, don't you?
I've got the dogs going nuts with.
We'll make it quick, and we'll just talk about Pembrokeshire.
The boys did well up in. They played in the Knoll, didn't they? And they played really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tight game for long stretches, and you can't fault them when they came into this part of the competition without a single win to their name, and they've won 2 on the bounce now, and it's brilliant for them. I mean, going anywhere and winning is difficult, but going to somewhere like the Knoll, just because that can overawe you when you're in a big ground and a famous ground. So a 14 points to 5 win is really deserved and well done.
Yeah, and none of those games are easy. None of those county schools games are easy because you're always up against somebody of a similar kind of in a similar position to yourself. And fair play to them, and fingers crossed we'll start seeing a couple of those boys moving up into Scarlet's West. And I've got a good feeling that there'll be quite a few Pembrokeshire boys coming up as well, which will be good. Okay, are we done?
And at the third time of asking, we are done.
Oh, my poor dogs are going nuts. Right, okay, mate. I will speak to you again next week. We will do this all again next week. It's going to take me ages to edit this one this week.
I feel sorry for you.
Yeah, I might just
I
put
really
it out
do.
as it is. Put it out as it is and just go, there you go. Listen.
I'm just feeling lazy this week.
Yeah. But yeah.
You get the bloopers and everything.
Yeah. Mate, have a good week. I will catch up with you next weekend or after next weekend, and we'll do it all again. All the best.
We will. All the best to you, mate. See you soon.
All the best, mate. Cheers. Ta-da. You have been listening to the Westerer is Besterer podcast from the Scarlet Supporters PEMS team. You can follow us on Twitter on Scarlet PEMS, find us on Facebook with Scarlet Supporters Pembrokeshire, or email us on scarletspems@gmail.com. And remember, West is best, but Westerer is Besterer. Cheers.
Sports Social Podcast Network.